You step off the train into a small Japanese village, the air cool and heavy with the scent of cedar and rain-soaked earth. The platform is nearly empty, save for an old man sweeping leaves in slow, deliberate strokes. His eyes catch yours for a moment, sharp and knowing, before he turns away. Your suitcase feels heavier than it should as you walk toward the Ryokan, a traditional inn where you've booked a room for the week. The village is nestled in a valley, cradled by misty mountains that seem to whisper secrets to one another. You're here to escape, to find peace after months of chaos in your life, a breakup that left your heart raw and your nights restless. The Ryokan looms ahead, its wooden walls weathered but warm, lanterns glowing softly at the entrance. You slide open the shoshi door, and a woman in a simple kimono greets you. Her name is Hana, she says, her voice soft like the rustle of silk. Her smile is kind, but her eyes linger on you a moment too long, as if she sees something you don't. She leads you through narrow halls, tatami mats cool beneath your feet, to a room overlooking a garden. The space is sparse, elegant, with a low table, a futon, and a single kimono hanging on the wall. It's exquisite crimson with gold-threaded cherry blossoms, swaying faintly, though there's no breeze. You feel a pull toward it, like a tide, tugging at your chest. Hana notices your gaze. That kimono, she says, belonged to a woman named Aiko, who stayed here long ago. Her voice drops, almost a whisper. Some say she never left. You laugh nervously, brushing off the chill that creeps up your spine. Hana only smiles and leaves you to settle in. You unpack, but your eyes keep drifting to the kimono. Its folds seem to shift, as if it's breathing. You tell yourself it's just the light, the exhaustion from your journey playing tricks. But as you lie on the futon that night, the room feels alive. The air hums, and the kimono's silhouette looms in. The moonlight you dream of a woman in that crimson kimono, her face half hidden by long black hair. She dances in a garden under a blood-red moon, her movements slow, hypnotic. You try to call out, but your voice catches in your throat. She turns, her eyes locking with yours, and you feel a jolt, like she's reached inside you. You wake with a start, heart pounding, the room still. The kimono hangs motionless, but you swear it's closer to your futon than it was before. You pull the blankets tighter, telling yourself it's just a dream. But the air feels heavier now, and sleep doesn't come easily. The next morning, you explore the village. Narrow streets wind past shops selling mochi and paper lanterns. Locals nod politely, but their glances linger as if they know something about you. At a tea house, you overhear two women whispering about the Ryokan. Aiko, they say, was in love with a man who betrayed her. Her heart broke, and she vanished into the mountains. You sip your tea, trying to shake the unease. Was it the same Aiko from Hana's story? You want to ask, but the women fall silent when they notice you listening. Back at the Ryokan, you find Hana trimming the garden's azaleas. You ask about? Aiko, keeping your tone light. Hana's smile fades, her hands pausing mid-snip. She was beautiful, Hana says, but her love was her undoing. She doesn't elaborate, and you don't push. That night, you avoid looking at the kimono, but its presence fills the room. You dream again, the same woman, the same dance. This time she beckons you closer. You want to resist, but your feet move on their own, drawn to her like a moth to flame. When you wake, your hands are trembling, and the kimono's hem is touching the edge of your futon. You wake to the soft patter of rain against the Ryokan's roof, the sound weaving into the fog of your dreams. Your heart still races from the image of the woman in the crimson kimono, her beckoning hand pulling you closer in that moonlit garden. You sit up, rubbing your eyes, and glance at the kimono on the wall. It's back in its place, hanging still, but you can't shake the feeling that it's watching you. The gold-threaded cherry blossoms seem to shimmer, even in the dim morning light. You tell yourself it's just fabric, just a story, but your skin prickles as you dress and head to breakfast. The dining area is quiet, save for the clink of porcelain as Hana sets a tray before you, rice and miso soup steaming gently. She moves with grace, but her eyes flicker to yours, searching. You want to ask about the kimono, about Aiko, but the words stick in your throat. Instead, you eat in silence, the rain outside a steady murmur. After breakfast, you decide to clear your head. You borrow an umbrella from the Ryokan and wander into the village, the streets slick and gleaming. The air smells of wet stone and pine, and the mountains loom closer today, their peaks swallowed by mist. You find a small shrine at the edge of the village, its red torii gate vibrant against the gray sky. An old woman kneels there, lighting incense. Her hands are gnarled, her face lined like the bark of an ancient tree. You hesitate, then ask if she knows about Aiko. Her eyes narrow, and she mutters something about restless spirits and broken promises. Aiko loved a man named Taro, she says, a painter who promised her forever, but left her for another. Aiko's heart couldn't bear it. She disappeared, and some say her spirit clings to the Ryokan, bound by sorrow. You thank her, your pulse quickening. The story feels too close, too raw, like it's reaching for the cracks in your own heart. Back at the Ryokan, you try to distract yourself. You read, you sip tea, but the kimono draws your gaze. In the afternoon, you meet another guest, a young man named Kenji, who's staying down the hall. He's charming, with a quick smile and eyes that seem to see right through you. Over tea, in the common room, he teases you about looking haunted. You laugh, but it feels hollow. You don't tell him about the dreams, but you mention the kimono. His smile falters, and he says he's heard it moves at night. You both laugh it off, but his words linger, a seed of doubt taking root. That night, you try to stay awake, afraid of what the dreams might bring. You sit by the window, watching the rain streak the glass, but exhaustion pulls you under. The dream comes again, sharper this time. The woman in the crimson kimono dances in the garden, her movements fluid yet desperate, like she's trying to tell you something. You step closer, your bare feet cold on the dream grass. She stops, her face still hidden, and points to a cherry tree in bloom. You see a name carved into its trunk, Taro, the letters jagged and deep. You wake gasping, the room dark and still. The kimono's there, its hem brushing the floor, closer than ever. You stumble to the window, needing air. The garden outside is empty, but you see it, the cherry tree from your dream, its branches swaying in the rain. You tell yourself it's a coincidence, but your hands shake as you crawl back to the futon. Kenji's words echo in your mind. The kimono moves at night. You want to leave, to pack your bags and flee, but something holds you here, a pull you can't explain. The kimono's presence is a weight, and you know, deep down, that Aiko's story isn't finished with you yet. You barely sleep, the memory of the dream clinging to you like damp silk. The cherry tree, the name Taro carved into its bark, feels like a message you can't decipher. Morning light filters through the shoshi screens, pale and thin, and you force yourself out of the futon. The kimono hangs on the wall, its crimson folds catching the light, almost pulsing. You avoid its gaze if fabric can have a gaze and hurry to wash your face, the cold water a sharp shock against your skin. You need answers, something to anchor you before the dreams pull you under again. At breakfast, Hana serves you silently, her movements precise but distant. You muster the courage to ask about the cherry tree in the garden. Her hands pause just for a moment before she sets down a teapot. It's old, she says, older than the Ryokan itself. People carve names into it sometimes, lovers mostly. Her voice is neutral, but her eyes flicker with something unspoken. You press further, mentioning Aiko and Taro. Hana's lips tighten, and she murmurs that some stories are best left buried. She leaves before you can ask more, her kimono whispering. Against the TATAM, you decide to see the cherry tree for yourself. The garden is damp from last night's rain, the air thick with the scent of wet earth and blossoms. The tree stands at the far end, its branches heavy with pink flowers, unnatural for this time of year. You run your fingers over the bark, searching for the carving from your dream. Your breath catches when you find it, Taro, etched deep, the letters weathered but clear. Below it, fainter, is another name, Aiko. Your heart stumbles. This isn't just a dream, not anymore. You step back, the tree's shadow feeling colder than it should. Kenji finds you there, his voice breaking the silence. He's carrying a sketchbook, his fingers smudged with charcoal. He teases you about looking like you've seen a ghost, but his eyes linger on the tree. You point out the carvings, and his expression shifts, curiosity mixing with unease. He says he's heard stories about Aiko, how her love for Taro consumed her. Some say she cursed him when he left her, swearing he'd never know peace. Kenji laughs, but it's forced, and he changes the subject, asking if you want to join him for a walk in the village. You agree, needing to escape the Ryokan's weight. The village feels different today, the air heavier, the streets quieter. You and Kenji stop at a small shop selling talismans, paper charms dangling from strings. The shopkeeper, a wiry man with sharp eyes, watches you closely. You ask about Aiko, half expecting him to brush you off. Instead, he leans in, voice low. She was betrayed, he says. Taro painted her portrait, promised her his heart, then sold the painting to another woman. Aiko vanished after that, but her kimono stayed behind, carrying her sorrow. You buy a talisman more out of instinct than belief, and clutch it as you leave. Back at the Ryokan, the day drags. You try to read, to nap, but the kimono's presence fills the room, its crimson glow almost mocking. Kenji knocks on your door, offering to share sake under the stars. You sit in the garden, the cherry tree looming nearby, and talk about everything but Aichu. His laugh is warm, his story's light, but you catch him glancing at your room, where the kimono waits. When you return, it's there, unchanged, yet you swear its sleeves are stretched toward you, like arms reaching out. That night, the dream comes again. The woman in the crimson kimono dances under the cherry tree, her movements frantic now, her hair whipping in an unseen wind. She stops, turns, and for the first time you see her face, pale, beautiful, her eyes burning with betrayal. She whispers, your name, her voice a blade in the dark. You wake, heart hammering, and find the kimono's hem draped across your futon, soft as a lover's touch. You shove it away, clutching the talisman, but the room feels alive, and you know Aiko is closer than ever. You barely sleep, the memory of the dream clinging to you like damp silk. The cherry tree, the name Taro carved into its bark, feels like a message you can't decipher. Morning light filters through the shoshi screens, pale and thin, and you force yourself out of the futon. The kimono hangs on the wall, its crimson folds catching the light, almost pulsing. You avoid its gaze, if fabric can have a gaze, and hurry to wash your face, the cold water a sharp shock against your skin. You need answers, something to anchor you before the dreams pull you under again. At breakfast, Hana serves you silently, her movements precise but distant. You muster the courage to ask about the cherry tree in the garden. Her hands pause just for a moment before she sets down a teapot. It's old, she says, older than the Ryokan itself. People carve names into it, sometimes lovers mostly. Her voice is neutral, but her eyes flicker with something unspoken. You press further, mentioning Aiko and Taro. Hana's lips tighten, and she murmurs that some stories are best left buried. She leaves before you can ask more, her kimono whispering. Against a TATAM, you decide to see the cherry tree for yourself. The garden is damp from last night's rain, the air thick with the scent of wet earth and blossoms. The tree stands at the far end, its branches heavy with pink flowers, unnatural for this time of year. You run your fingers over the bark, searching for the carving from your dream. Your breath catches when you find it, Taro, etched deep, the letters weathered but clear. Below it, fainter, is another name, Aiko. Your heart stumbles. This isn't just a dream, not anymore. You step back, the tree's shadow feeling colder than it should. Kenji finds you there, his voice breaking the silence. He's carrying a sketchbook, his fingers smudged with charcoal. He teases you about looking like you've seen a ghost, but his eyes linger on the tree. You point out the carvings and his expression shifts, curiosity mixing with unease. He says he's heard stories about Aihi, how her love for Taro consumed her. Some say she cursed at him when he left her, swearing he'd never know peace. Kenji laughs, but it's forced, and he changes the subject, asking if you want to join him for a walk in the village. You agree, needing to escape the Ryokan's weight. The village feels different today, the air heavier, the streets quieter. You and Kenji stop at a small shop selling talismans, paper charms dangling from strings. The shopkeeper, a wiry man with sharp eyes, watches you closely. You ask about Aiko, half expecting him to brush you off. Instead, he leans in, voice low. She was betrayed, he says. Taro painted her portrait, promised her his heart, then sold the painting to another woman. Aiko vanished after that, but her kimono stayed behind, carrying her sorrow. You buy a talisman more out of instinct than belief, and clutch it as you leave. Back at the Ryokan, the day drags. You try to read, to nap, but the kimono's presence fills the room, its crimson glow almost mocking. Kenji knocks on your door, offering to share sake under the stars. You sit in the garden, the cherry tree looming nearby, and talk about everything but Aichu. His laugh is warm, his story's light, but you catch him glancing at your room, where the kimono waits. When you return, it's there, unchanged, yet you swear its sleeves are stretched toward you, like arms reaching out. That night, the dream comes again. The woman in the crimson kimono dances under the cherry tree, her movements frantic now, her hair whipping in an unseen wind. She stops, turns, and for the first time you see her face pale, beautiful, her eyes burning with betrayal. She whispers your name, her voice a blade in the dark. You wake, heart hammering, and find the kimono's hem draped across your futon, soft as a lover's touch. You shove it away, clutching the talisman, but the room feels alive and you know. Aiko is closer than ever. You lie awake, the talisman clutched in your hand, its paper edges digging into your palm. The kimono is back on the wall, but its presence lingers like a heartbeat in the room. The memory of Aiko's face in your dream, her eyes blazing with betrayal, keeps you from closing your eyes again. You can still hear her whisper your name, sharp and intimate, as if she knows you better than you know yourself. The room feels too small, the air too thick, and you wonder if leaving the Ryokan would break whatever hold this place has on you. But your feet stay rooted, drawn to the mystery of Aiko's story. Morning comes slowly, the sky bruised with clouds. You skip breakfast, unable to face Hannah's searching gaze. Instead, you slip into the garden, the cherry tree's blossoms glowing faintly despite the gloom. You trace the carvings again, Taro and Aiko, their names like wounds in the bark. You feel a pang, thinking of your own heartbreak, the promises that crumbled in your past. The tree seems to hum under your touch, and you pull away unsettled. You need to understand Aiko to know why she's reaching for you. You find Kenji in the common room, sketching by the window. His charcoal moves in quick, fluid strokes, capturing the misty mountains outside. You hesitate, then tell him about the dream, Aiko's face, her voice. His pencil pauses, and he looks at you, his usual charm replaced by something quieter, almost wary. He says he's been dreaming too, not of Aiko, but of a garden where shadows dance. He doesn't mention the kimono, but you see his eyes flicker toward your room. He suggests visiting the village library, a tiny building he noticed yesterday. To dig into Aiko's story, you agree, grateful for a distraction. The library is a cramped, musty room filled with books and scrolls, the air heavy with the scent of old paper. The librarian, a stooped woman with silver hair, points you to a shelf of local histories. You and Kenji pore over faded records, finding scraps about Aiko. She was a dancer, renowned for her grace, who came to the village to perform at a festival. Taro, a traveling artist, painted her during her stay, and their love bloomed fast, fierce, and doomed. He left her for a wealthy merchant's daughter, taking Aiko's portrait with him. The records say Aiko vanished soon after, her kimono left behind in the Ryokan. One account whispers of a curse of Aiko's spirit binding itself to the silk. Seeking retribution, you feel a chill, the talisman heavy in your pocket. Kenji, reading over your shoulder, points to a sketch in one book, a woman in a crimson kimono, her face blurred but unmistakable. It's her. You both fall silent, the weight of the story pressing down. Back at the Ryokan, you avoid your room, lingering in the common area with Kenji. He shares more sake. His laugh lighter now, but you notice his hands tremble slightly. You wonder if he's holding something back, if he knows more than he's saying. His eyes keep drifting to the garden, to the cherry tree. That night, you can't avoid your room forever. The kimono waits, its gold threads glinting like eyes in the dark. You light a lantern, hoping its glow will keep the shadows at bay, but the air feels charged, alive. You clutch the talisman tighter, whispering to yourself that it's just a story. But sleep pulls you under, and the dream returns. Aiko dances again, her kimono flowing like blood in the moonlight. She stops, her face closer now, her lips parting. She doesn't speak your name this time, but her eyes hold yours, pleading, accusing. You see a flash of Taro's face, handsome but cruel, and then your own face mirrored in her gaze. You wake, gasping, the kimono sleeve brushing your cheek, soft and cold. You scramble back, heart pounding, and notice something new. A faint stain on the kimono's hem, like tears or blood, too faint to be sure. You don't sleep again that night, the talisman your only anchor, as Aiko's presence grows stronger. You sit on the futon, the lanterns flicker, casting jagged shadows. Across the room, the kimono hangs still, but the faint stain on its hem haunts you, a mark that wasn't there before. Your fingers grip the talisman, its paper worn from your constant touch. The air feels thick, like it's holding its breath, and you can't. Shake the image of Aiko's face from your dream, your own reflection in her eyes. You want to run, too. Morning brings no relief. The sky is heavy with clouds, the village shrouded in mist. You skip breakfast again, avoiding Hannah's gaze, and head straight to the garden. The cherry tree stands silent, its blossoms unnaturally bright, as if mocking the gray day. You trace the carved names, Taro and Aiko, and feel a pang in your chest, your own heartbreak echoing hers. You wonder if that's why she's reaching for you, if your pain calls to hers. The thought makes your skin crawl, but you can't look away from the tree. Kenji finds you there, his sketchbook tucked under his arm. His smile is softer today, less playful, and you notice shadows under his eyes. He says he didn't sleep well either, though he doesn't mention dreams. You tell him about the stain on the kimono, your voice low, and his expression tightens. He suggests talking to the old woman at the shrine again, the one who spoke of Aiko's broken promises. You nod, desperate for anything that might explain. The pull you feel, the weight of Aiko's presence. The shrine is quiet, the air thick with incense. The old woman is there, arranging offerings, her movements slow and deliberate. You ask about Aiko's curse, about the kimono. Her eyes narrow and she speaks in a whisper, as if afraid the spirits might hear. Aiko's love was her undoing, she says. When Taro betrayed her, she poured her sorrow into the kimono, binding her spirit to it. The curse wasn't just for Taro, but for anyone who carries a broken heart. You feel a chill, your own past rising like a tide. The woman hands you a small charm, a knotted cord, and tells you to wear it close. It won't stop Aiko, she warns, but it might protect you. Back at the Ryokan, you tie the cord around your wrist, its weight a small comfort. Kenji stays close, his usual charm subdued. You sit in the common room, sharing tea, and he admits he's been sketching the cherry tree, trying to capture its strange glow. He shows you a drawing, the tree's branches twisting like arms reaching out, and you see a faint figure in the background, a woman in a kimono. Your breath catches, but he says it's just his imagination, a trick of the pencil. You want to believe him, but his eyes avoid yours. That evening, you try to distract yourself, reading by the lantern's glow, but the kimono's presence is inescapable. You notice the stain has spread, a faint shadow creeping up the fabric, like ink seeping through paper. Your heart races, and you consider moving to another room, but Hana's words echo. Some stories are best left buried. You wonder if she knows more, if she's part of this somehow. The thought feels unfair, but distrust gnaws at you. Sleep comes despite your resistance, and the dream is waiting. Aiko dances under the cherry tree, her kimono flowing like a river of blood. Her face is closer now, her eyes locked on yours, and you see tears streaking her cheeks. She reaches for you, her fingers brushing your wrist where the cord sits. You feel a jolt, like a spark, and the dream shifts. You see Taro, his face handsome but cold, laughing with another woman as icy watches from the shadows. Her pain floods you, sharp and raw, mirroring your own. You wake, gasping, and find the kimono draped across your futon, the stain darker, its edges curling toward you like a hand. You shove it away, the cord on your wrist warm against your skin, and you know Aiko's story is pulling you deeper, binding you to her sorrow. You huddle on the futon, the lantern's dim glow barely holding back the dark. The kimono lies crumpled. Where you shoved it, its crimson folds twisted like something alive. The stain is darker now, spreading like a bruise, and you can't shake the feeling that it's watching you, waiting. The cord on your wrist feels heavier, its knots pressing into your skin, a fragile shield against Aiko's pull. Your heart aches with her sorrow, her betrayal mingling with your own past wounds, and you wonder if you're losing yourself too. Her story. You want to leave, to escape this Ryokan, but the thought of abandoning Aiko feels like betraying her all over again. Dawn creeps in, gray and heavy, the air thick with the scent of rain. You force yourself to move, splashing cold water on your face, avoiding the kimono's gaze. At breakfast, Hana sets your tray down with her usual grace, but her eyes linger on the cord around your wrist. You ask her about Aiko's curse, your voice trembling. She hesitates, then says the kimono holds Aiko's heart, her pain. Only someone who understands her sorrow can set her free, she murmurs, but her words feel like a warning. You want to press her to demand more, but she turns away, leaving you with the echo of her voice. You seek out Kenji, needing his warmth to ground you. He's in the garden, sketching the cherry tree again, its blossoms stark against the misty sky. You tell him about the dream, Taro's betrayal, the kimono's stain. His face pales, and he admits he saw Aiko last night, not in a dream but in the garden, a fleeting shadow in crimson. He laughs it off, but his hands shake as he flips through his sketchbook, showing you a new drawing. It's Aiko, her kimono flowing, her face blurred but anguished. You feel a chill, realizing he's being pulled into her story too. You decide to return to the shrine, hoping the old woman can offer more than charms. The village feels quieter today, the streets empty, the mist curling around your ankles. At the shrine, the woman is there, burning incense, her eyes sharp as she sees the cord on your wrist. You beg for a way to break Aiko's curse. She shakes her head, saying Aiko's spirit seeks someone to share her pain, to understand her loss. You must face her, she says, and offer her peace, not fear. She gives you a small vial of blessed water to pour at the cherry tree's roots, a gesture to soothe Aiko's spirit. You thank her, clutching the vial, but her words weigh heavy. Face her. Back at the Ryokan, you avoid your room, sitting with Kenji in the common area. He's quieter now, his sketches darker, the cherry tree's branches twisting like fingers. In his drawings, you share the old woman's advice, and he nods, but his eyes keep drifting to the garden. You wonder if he's hiding something, if Aiko's pull is stronger on him than he admits. The day drags, the air heavy with unspoken tension. You clutch the vial and the cord, their presence a faint comfort against the growing dread. Night falls, and you can't avoid your room forever. The kimono is back on the wall, the stain now a deep shadow, creeping up the silk like veins. You place the vial by your futon, a small act of defiance, and try to stay awake. But sleep claims you, and the dream is waiting. Aiko dances under the cherry tree, her movements wild, desperate. Her face is clear now, her eyes locked on yours, tears streaming down her cheeks. She reaches for you, her fingers grazing your wrist, and you feel her pain flood you, raw and overwhelming. You see your own face again, mirrored in hers, your own heartbreak woven into her story. You wake, heart pounding, and find the kimono draped over you, the stain warm against your skin. The veil is still by your side, but the cord on your wrist is frayed, its knots unraveling, and you know you can't run from Aiko much longer. You wake with a gasp, the kimono's weight pressing against your chest, its stain dark and warm like a living thing. You shove it off, your hands trembling, and clutch the frayed cord on your wrist. The knots are nearly undone, the threads brittle, as if Aiko's touch in the dream burned through them. The vial of blessed water sits untouched by your futon, its glass glinting in the lantern's fading light. You feel her sorrow clinging to you, heavier now, weaving into the cracks of your own heartbreak. The Ryokan feels like a cage, but no running won't free you from Aiko's grasp. Morning is bleak, the sky a shroud of gray. You skip breakfast, unable to face Hana's knowing eyes, and head to the garden. The cherry tree looms, its blossoms glowing with an eerie light, defying the season. You kneel at its roots, the vial in your hand, and hesitate. The old woman's words echo, face her, offer her peace. You want to believe the blessed water will soothe Aiko's spirit, but doubt gnaws at you. The carvings Taro and Aiko seem to pulse under your gaze, and you feel her presence, watching, waiting. Kenji finds you there, his sketchbook absent for the first time. His face is drawn, his eyes shadowed, and you wonder if Aiko's dreams have claimed him too. You tell him about the vial, the old woman's advice, and he nods, but his voice is tight. He admits he saw Aisha again last night, standing by the cherry tree, her kimono flowing in a wind that wasn't there. He didn't tell you before because he thought it was his imagination, but now he's not sure. You feel a pang, wondering if he's drawn to her the way you are, if her pain calls to him too. You decide to act together, to pour the blessed water at the tree's roots before night falls. The garden feels alive, the air humming as you approach the cherry tree. You uncork the vial, your hands unsteady, and let the water trickle into the soil. The ground seems to drink it eagerly, and for a moment the air feels lighter, the blossoms less vivid. Kenji watches, his breath shallow, and you both wait, hoping for a sign. But the tree remains silent, and the weight of Aiko's presence doesn't lift. You exchange a glance, fear mirrored in his eyes, and return to the Ryokan, the vial empty but your heart heavy. Inside, Hana is sweeping the hallway, her movements slow, deliberate. She glances at the frayed cord on your wrist and says nothing, but her silence feels like a judgment. You ask if she's ever seen Aiko, if the kimono has ever moved for her. She pauses, then says only those with broken hearts see her. Her words cut deep, and you wonder how much she knows about you, about the pain you carried to this village. She walks away, leaving you with the echo of her words and a growing sense of unease. Night comes too quickly. You sit by the lantern, the kimono back on the wall, its stain now a deep, inky shadow, spreading like a wound. You tie the frayed cord tighter, willing it to hold, but it feels useless against Aiko's pull. Sleep creeps in, and the dream is waiting. Aiko stands under the cherry tree, her kimono flowing, her face pale and anguished. She doesn't dance this time. She steps closer, her eyes locked on yours, and speaks your name, her voice soft but piercing. You see Taro behind her, his face, twisting into someone else's, someone from your past, the one who broke your heart. Aiko reaches for you, her fingers cold, and you feel her sorrow flood you, drowning your own. You wake, the kimono draped over you again, its stain warm and wet, the cord on your wrist unraveled completely. You scramble to the lantern, heart pounding, and know that tonight Aiko will demand more than dreams. You sit frozen, the kimono heavy across your lap, its stain dark and slick, like tears that never dried. The cord on your wrist is gone, its threads scattered across the futon. Useless now. The lantern flickers, casting shadows that twist like Aiko's dance, and the room feels alive, pulsing with her presence. Your heart pounds, the echo of her voice in your dream, your name on her lips, mingling with the face of your own past betrayer. You know this is the night Aiko will demand her peace, and you're not sure you can give it to her. Dawn is ours. Away, the Ryokan silent except for the faint creak of wood. You shove the kimono off, its silk cold against your skin, and stumble to the garden, needing air, needing escape. The cherry tree glows under the moonlight, its blossoms too bright, too alive. You kneel at its roots, where you poured the blessed water, and whisper an apology to Aiko, though you're not sure why. You speak to her, your voice trembling, offering understanding, offering your own pain. You tell her you know what it's like to be broken, to carry a wound that won't heal. The tree is silent, but the air shifts, softer now, like a sigh. Kenji finds you there, his face pale, his eyes wide. He says he saw Aiko in his room, standing by his bed, her kimono flowing. He ran, unable to stay, and you see fear in him, but also guilt, as if he's hiding something. You ask, your voice sharp, if he's keeping secrets. He hesitates, then admits he found a letter in the Ryokan's attic, written by Taro. It was an apology to Aiko, confessing his betrayal, begging for forgiveness he never sought in person. Kenji kept it, afraid it would deepen Aiko's hold on you both. You feel a surge of anger, but it fades into exhaustion. You need to end this for Aiko, for yourself. Together you return to your room. The kimono is back on the wall, its stain pulsing like a heartbeat. Kenji hands you the letter, its paper brittle, Taro's words scrawled in faded ink. You read aloud, your voice steady despite the fear, speaking Taro's regret, his cowardice, his love that failed her. You tell Aiko you see her pain, that you carry your own, and you fold the letter, placing it at the kimono's hem. You light incense from the shrine, its smoke curling upward, and whisper a prayer for peace. For her and for you, the air grows heavy, then lightens as if the room exhales. The kimono's stain fades, just a little, its crimson softening. You feel a warmth, like a hand brushing your heart, and for the first time the room feels still. Kenji exhales, his shoulders relaxing, and you both sit in silence. The lanterns glow steady now. You don't know if Aiko is gone, but her pull is weaker, her sorrow shared. You sleep, dreamless, the kimono still on the wall, but quiet. Morning comes and Hannah greets you with a smile, her eyes softer, as if she knows. The cherry tree's blossoms have fallen, scattered across the garden, and the carvings seem fainter, less raw. You pack your bags ready to leave, but you glance at the kimono one last time. It's just fabric now, its gold threads dull, its presence gentle. You thank Aiko silently for sharing her story, for letting you go. Some stories stay with us long after the words fade. Let this one rest beside you. Sleep deeply. And if it returns in your dreams, perhaps it was never truly gone.